Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the mayoral candidates, and if we can get them both to come up, and we will what we're doing is we're going to have both of them first start for 2 minutes. Tell us about yourself, why you're running. A lot of people know both of you for different reasons, but go ahead and tell us. Let's start with Miguel, and then we'll go there. Ready? All right, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Dr. Swicker. My name is Miguel Silva. I've been the District 1 City Councilor for the past 8 years. The reason I'm running for mayor is that is right there. You know?
This one, not this one.
Not this one. Thank you for that clarification. What I've seen over the past 8 years is we've had a disengaged mayor. There are two types of mayor. There's your charter mayor, a mayor that can just do what's written in the charter, set the agenda, work with staff. Or there is that mayor that can go up and beyond that. As city councilor, I'm a firm believer in term limits, and so rather than run for a third term, I chose to rather than step out, but to step up. Because I feel that a strong mayor who's an advocate for this city, an advocate for economic growth, an advocate for its citizens, will be a good mayor. But it takes more than just being a charter mayor. And so that was my motivation to run for mayor, was to be that mayor that you all have been seeking and we've been lacking. The current mayor continues to paint a very pretty picture of what Las Cruces is not. And as we work out of this recession, we're going to need a strong mayor who's going to work and listen and be engaged with the entire community. Thank you.
All right, Gina.
My name is Gina Ortega. A little bit about myself. I have been married to my husband for 29 and a half years. We have 3 adult children. We have a son-in-law, a daughter-in-law, and a beautiful 2-year-old granddaughter. The reason we don't have another son-in-law is because our daughter is just a sophomore at MSU. So eventually we will probably have another son-in-law. We are small. I'm not a politician, never have been, never care to be one. I'm basically just a small business owner. We've had a bakery over on Valley Drive for 10 years. And the reason that I'm running for mayor is I believe that the people would like to have their voice back. I believe the current city government that we have 7 people that make the decision that affect the rest of us, and we're put to foot the bill. So that's basically why I'm running for mayor. The city, as far as I can see, needs a little bit of help, and I believe I can help with that help. And that's why I'm running for mayor.
All right, and make it easier. I'm going to hand this to you, so that and then you can hand it to Miguel when you're done. The question is, what's the biggest obstacle to the city, and what's your solution for it? The reason I'm handing it is because sometimes you ask a question, it's been a little while before they saw it, so I just printed the question to them. And we'll start with Gina.
The greatest obstacle to the improvement of Las Cruces, once again, I believe is giving people back their voice. I've been building my platform on talking to people, and I was very surprised to hear people don't get out and vote anymore. And I was really surprised to even see the people that are doing this are people like in their 60s and 70s. I expect this probably from my 29-year-old daughter or my 26-year-old, her friends or whatever it may be. But when I heard that 60-year-old people are no longer voting, just made, and hearing why they said, it's like my voice doesn't matter, nobody listens to me. Why am I going to waste my time and my gas to go down to vote? So to me, I think that was the greatest obstacle and the improvement, that I believe once we give people back their voice and let them get their confidence back up, that you know what, it does matter. The city is not a place for a people.
If you'll hand that to Miguel. Makes it easier, huh?
As it gives this other, but I'm kidding.
The city has many obstacles. We just don't have one real obstacle. Definitely, as I mentioned earlier, economic growth. Also, our infrastructure and how is an obstacle. But I'm going to focus on the gross receipt taxes that were passed recently. It was an $85 million overtax that was passed. I was the only city councilor that voted no on that tax. I did listen to the people. There were many meetings held around the city. I sat in the audience, I sat at the very back, I talked to people as they were leaving. The persons at the back, they said, this is already a done deal. And I listened to the people. When the vote came to the council, I said that. I'm going to vote no because the people are saying to vote no. The biggest obstacle now is how do they spend that added $6 million per year? We have bonded $2 million of the $8 million for economic development, roads and infrastructure, So what do we do with the other added $6 million that we receive per year? And I want to stress a platform of transparency where your voice is heard, whether we invest that on continued infrastructure or on the youth or on recreation. So that I think is one of our biggest obstacles is how do we invest the remaining gross received tax dollars?
The primary role of government, since Tea Party, is to protect the citizens. The Las Cruces Fire Department expects to respond if you have a problem in under 5 minutes. What should be the expected response time for the police?
I think if we're putting an expected response time, we're getting ourselves in trouble. These should be as soon and as quick as possible. Our police department should be responding.
Well, the fire department, in other words, said, we'll be there in less than 5 minutes. What do you think the police department should do?
I think with any emergency, it should be as quick and as soon as possible as they have units available.
I would agree with Miguel. I don't think you can actually really put a time limit on something like that. I mean, obviously, if you call the police, you probably need them there as soon as you can possibly get them there. To actually say, you expect them to get them there at a certain time, I think that's kind of a difficult question.
All right. And do you favor a citizens review board to oversee the police department?
This is actually a really good question because I have had some people come into the bakery and did talk to me about this. I don't see why we shouldn't have a review board. Actually, there was, I can't remember what the name of it, I just had a gentleman come in yesterday, and there was actually a group of people that came in, Dr. Ishida, and he did a survey, being the incidents that the police departments was having, and he actually recommended 13 different things that the city should utilize to help with these issues. And this was done in 2009. And as far as I know up to date, none of those that Dr. Ishida recommended, the city has not utilized any of those. So yeah, I would think that a citizens review board, since if we can't use that report that Dr. Ishida used, why shouldn't we have, if we don't have anything to hide, why shouldn't we have a citizen review board?
When I was elected in 2007, again, I did listen to the residents, and the residents said that they wanted some type of police audit that would eventually lead to a police review committee. With that was the audit that Ms. Ortega referred to. That was the first ever audit ever done on the police department. And the result of it was the Ishida report. I believe there was 13 suggestions, and I think they accomplished about 8 or 9 of the suggestions, and that was done by former police chief Richard Williams. Richard Williams took it the next step, and because he welcomed the audit, the Ishida report, and he also, the Las Cruces Police Department became the first certified unit, or not the first, but they became a certified unit of New Mexico, and that was our first. So the police chief, the police department has made great gains since the police audit that was done. And in terms of a citizens review board, I think that has been taken. That stuff, I think, can be brought before the council again. But I think the track that the current police department is on is a very positive one.
So you are for or against the idea?
Well, yes, I'm for a citizen review board.
All right. Let me ask you about the minimum wage. Are you in favor of increasing the minimum wage? How much should it be? What should we do with the minimum wage? Yeah.
Well, when the minimum wage came in front of the city council, I took it upon myself again to go out and listen to the public. Myself and Counselor Levantino, we brought opposing parties to the table and listened to them and tried to come to a common middle ground. I favored increasing minimum wage at the federal and state level only because it provides a level just an even common ground or an even playing field for all small businesses. And so when we start passing local minimum wage ordinances, it really puts businesses at a disadvantage with competing municipalities. So the final result, there were 9 votes taken for the minimum wage. I voted in favor 7 of the 9 times, only because I felt that that's what was best at the community. What's ahead of us in 2016 is that it will come before us again, the City Council. Presently, I cannot support the increase for 2017 because how it affects nonprofits, churches, other types of groups out there, including residents who are on subsidy type programs. So that's something for review that's going to come up in 2017. And that was an amendment that I pushed forward that said that there would be no more increases until, with every added increase, the City Council would have to take a vote on.
I guess if I had to say whether I was in favor of it or not in favor of it, I don't believe that they did enough research on it. I don't think they should have made the decision as fast as they did. I think they should have actually gotten more input, especially from the people that it was in effect. I know that they were trying to help these people that do believe that they needed more money. I know things are tight, but I think they should have done a little bit more research. And I think I've been talking to people that are on both sides of the spectrum. I've talked to people that they're the employers, and now they are responsible to pay this difference. Basically what they've done is they've scaled back. I've talked to the people that were supposed to benefit from them, and they've lost out. Like normally, I know somebody that would normally work 6 hours, and all of a sudden, because now the employer has to watch their budget a little tighter, now they're only working another 4 hours and sending them home 2 hours early. So now instead of this employee getting 80 cents more over those 2 hours, they lost out on $16. So I think it's something that should have gone to the people.
Well, the people should have voted on it.
Yes.
All right. And for Gina, you think business climate is good in Las Cruces? Why or why not?
I do not think the business climate is good in Las Cruces. Like I said, we are a small business owner. It took us almost 2 years to get our bakery open. We will have 10 years now in March. Had we not had those 2 years, we'd have been open now 12 years in March. A lot of the too much red tape, too many I's to dot, T's to cross. Basically what happened is, you would get what you thought you needed done. Inspector number 1 would come in, inspect you, and find little issues that whatever it may be. So you call your plumber back in, and they're like, we don't need to do this. We deal with the city all the time. I'm like, but since God has spoken, we will listen. So they would make the changes, whatever inspector number 1 made. Well, now you call for an inspection, and now you get inspector number 2. And now inspector number 2 found what inspector number 1 didn't find. So it was just a game back and forth. So I think the business climate is not good because we're not a business-friendly city. I think if we were to be a little bit more business-friendly, I think we would have a lot more businesses in Las Cruces, which in the long term would create more jobs, and maybe we wouldn't have had to do the minimum wage increase, which should have probably been done at a state or federal level.
I would agree, we are not a business climate, we're not a good business climate. If you listen to NMSU professors, Dr. Peach and Dr. Erickson, they continue to remind us that we are in the midst of a recession. And so when you look at housing, the housing permits for the past 9 years has been down. When you look at NMSU, their budget has been cut by $7 million. The Las Cruces school budget has been cut by $7 million. The county budget has been cut by more than $13 million. And for a community that's so dependent on government jobs, we do not have a very good business climate. And if you look at all the empty storefronts around town, that there's a reflection of the business climate in Las Cruces. Can we improve with the permitting process and everything that has been brought forth? Yes, I would agree with that. And it should have been done at a much more expedient pace than it has.
And for Miguel, do you support the current impact fees? Should we have more or different houses be built? 10 years ago, I think we were doing 2,000 houses. Gil, was it about 10,000? I mean, 2,000 a year, and we're, what, about 100 now? So, effective impact fees.
Well, in regards to the impact fees, those were brought forth, impact fees were brought forth back in 2010. Again, in going out and interviewing and listening to the public, I voted no on the impact fee increase. It was myself and at that time, Counselor Connor were the only 2 counselors that voted no on the impact fees. after the 2011 election, I made it a point to go out and reverse that decision. I think that was the worst legislation of the 8 years that I was on city council that was ever passed. And only because it was unfair and unjust, not just to the developers, but to the residents. Meaning that if you lived on the furthest east road of Las Cruces, you paid an impact fee. You may never see a road in front of your house during the time that you live there. So it was a very unfair system that was passed. And as mentioned, it took me a year of going to groups such as this and many other types of diverse groups, educating the public on impact fees. And so we got the impact fees reversed a year later.
And being that I'm not currently part of our current city government, I don't know a whole lot about impact fees. I learned a little bit more yesterday. I believe all the candidates have met with the Las Cruces Builders Association. And so they basically informed me a little bit on how the impact fees work, which was a little surprising to me that for them to say that somebody building a new home, starting impact fee is $6,700 on a new home. And just the way that they explained it, and from what I've heard from other people, it doesn't seem like we need to have those impact fees as high as they do have them. So like I told them, being that I would be the new person that goes in there, I think that we should hear, why do we need to have these impact fees? And then you're going to have the other group that says, well, this is why we should, or this is why we shouldn't. I'm like, why can't we sit down like adults at the table and actually hear why do we have to have impact fees, especially at the rates that they're having to pay?
One consequence is that you have to build expensive homes. If you start with $6,700, you obviously can't build a $40,000 home, can you?
No.
Because it's too much of a part of it. So you're also choosing what kind of houses will be built, which is much more expensive homes.
Yes.
I have one last question, then we'll do council people.
And also, Mike, I just wanted to
Please do.
quickly add, on impact fees, roads and sewer, all your infrastructure, fire safety, there are certain impact fees that are needed. And those being a couple of them, it's hard to, someone at some point has to pay for those types of infrastructure.
All right.
Yeah, just the information according to the builders is like, they just don't need to be as steep as they are.
One last question. One Valley, One Vision 2040, and Miguel, you were on that committee, weren't you?
No, not in the committee.
Oh, okay. It listed you as being on the committee in the handout.
They put everyone's name on there.
They put everybody's name.
Yes,
That is managed growth. So do you believe that it is the proper role of the city of Las Cruces to manage the growth in our city? And let's start with Steve, since I singled him out there. Yeah, it's on the thing.
Well, the One Valley, One Vision, the managed growth, I think is something that's still in review, and it still needs to be much more scrutinized. And as you mentioned, it's still in committee. So I have yet to get into the details, and the devil is in the details. I feel yes, we do need some form of managed growth.
Okay.
In 2007, we had a lot of growth that was just occurring, and that's what propelled many persons to get elected into office, because there was the growth was happening at unprecedented levels and in a very uncontrollable manner. I said from the very beginning when I was elected in 2007 that those communities who get on the same plate, the business community, the development community, the residents and so forth, if we all get on the same page on how we want to grow as a community in a very smart managed manner, those are the communities that are going to grow out of the recession at a much quicker rate.
Well, the question, let me make sure I make this clear. Is it the legitimate role of government in a free society to pick the winners and losers when it comes to growth?
Well, I think
that's actually what I'm trying to ask.
Well, I think government has to play some role in terms of we just can't have totally unmanaged growth.
Gina?
Well, from a little that I know about this, if that's the direction we're heading and they are already controlling it, it's obviously not a very good direction. You can see there's no jobs. There's no, so if that's a direction that this One Valley, One Vision 2040 is taking us, it's obviously not the right direction. Because there's no jobs. There's no jobs in Cruces.
Let's have one. All right. Question here.
Question. With the comment first. I've attended all three of the mayoral and city council forums so far, and I keep hearing from those incumbents that are presently serving the city council how bad a city financially and everything that's going on in the city, how bad it really is. Why does it take you incumbents that presently sit in the city council, why is it taking you 8 years to let us know how bad things really are? Now,
So that's a two-part question.
I have a
Let me make sure I say that the way you just said
one.
it. Is it as bad, Miguel, as he says, and why does it take you 2 years?
Well, I don't know what he's referring, define bad in regards to, I know that we have by law, we have to have, our general fund has to have 1/12 of the amount of budget, and we've made it a point to have twice as much in our general fund budget as a surplus.
Well, that wasn't what I was asking. You keep making comments that the mayor is doing, not doing a great job as he claims he is. On the university forum, the mayor brought out this issue here, city receives first in rating. My understanding is that the city, would you please correct me, and I think that the incumbents already know this because they're part of the city government, my understanding is that the city paid for that review and paid extra so that they could get it out before the elections.
Oh.
And so therefore, that's what I'm talking about. My understanding is, and I know from a fact, when the mayor at a city council meeting threatened to arrest me, escort me out of the building and arrest me, all of the city councilmen that are here tonight were there, and none of you defended that particular issue where he was going to violate my constitutional rights to be able to get up and speak at a public forum. Why does this continue to happen? And now you're here telling us that the mayor is not doing a good job. All of you incumbents, as far as I'm concerned, should resign and give the opportunity to the new people to come in. But I want you to answer this question there tonight. And I'm also hoping that can be asked of the city councilors that are running for.
How do you wish to respond?
Well, you're definitely entitled to your own opinion. The mayor can answer himself. He's not here. So, in regards to that star rating, I understand what that star rating is about. The star rating basically, it reflects of where staff is right now. And yes, it was paid for out of city funds. The 3-star rating is the initial bottom rating. That's something that staff did on their own to rate themselves. So,
are they being held accountable for taking that action? They're trying to BS the people.
Okay, we're gonna vote for one of 3 people here, and so we need to get to the actual the candidate forum to ask for the vote. And Miguel asked for the vote, and then we're gonna get the counselors up, and then we'll have Gina do that. If you feel like you'd like to have one last say.
yes, I seek your vote because, as mentioned, I think we are in tough times, and we are a community that has a lot of challenges ahead of us. I really feel that we need to look at the present situation of where we're at in terms of we are in this recession, and we need to come together as a community. Economic development definitely has to be at the top of our list, as well as taking care of the infrastructure within the inner city. And budget transparency. Yes, this gross receipt tax was passed, but now what are we going to do with your tax dollars? I have said in other forums as well, if the council cannot figure out what to do with those tax dollars, I have no problem giving those tax dollars back to you. So I seek your vote on November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like people to vote for me. I'm not a politician, I'm not a politician, never care to be. Just a regular person like everybody else that works hard for what we have. And I want to go in there, the first thing people have asked me, what do you promise? I said, I don't make any promises because I know I probably can't keep them. The only promise I would like to go in there and give is actually give people back their voice and hear what anybody has to say. You know, like Miguel said, infrastructure, a lot of people, it depends on what side of town you're on. People on the west side, they were talking about, we need roads. People up in District 6 talking about they need a street light. I don't believe the current city government we have even listens to what the people of Las Cruces feel we want or need. So that's why I would like to go in there, be your mayor, to actually go and hear what people have to say.
Thank you. I appreciate you
Thank
guys.
you very much.